Hi, my name is Todd Bigelow. Thanks for stopping in. This is just a short informal video series on business topics for freelance photographers. I've been a freelancer for 30 years. I'm a contributing photographer to Contact Press Images. I'm an adjunct professor of photography and photojournalism, the founder of the Business of Photography Workshop, and most recently, the author of the Freelance Photographer's Guide to Success Business Essentials. Thanks for stopping in, and I hope you enjoy the series. Branching out or diversification. I want to touch on that. And I want to touch on 3 reasons why it's so important, in my opinion, from my experiences, to get outside of maybe that one basket of clients that you really like, that are maybe in one particular, arena of the freelance photography or photojournalism business. So the first reason I recommend that you branch out and diversify is, of course, it's financial security against the sudden loss of that one client. Okay, we know that we're in a business that can result in a big drop off in budgeting from a particular publication. I've worked with some of the biggest and best, from Sports Illustrated to Time and People and many others. And for many years, a lot of work is coming through. And then of course, some of those magazines started to suffer through a recession, and obviously loss of advertising in the print circulation, and then cutbacks, and it just slowly kind of slowed down the assigning process. So some of those publications are a fraction of what they used to be. So you want to protect against that. So you can really do that by making sure that you branch out into different areas to shoot. So maybe you take that skill set, shooting portraits for Time or shooting portraits for whatever publication, and go out and shoot some portraits for small businesses, or for actors if you're in LA like I am, and you do whatever somebody might offer you that is a decent rate, in a decent contract, which most of the time in those areas where you're kind of working one-on-one with a business, there's not much of an issue with any sort of contractual terms. It's usually when you start working with corporate media where you're going to be, seeing certain clauses that might cause you some discomfort. So the financial security from diversifying will, once you develop those clients outside of, say, editorial, and you go into nonprofits and you go into corporate work, but you're doing the same kind of work. If one of your editorial clients, falls off, you have those other clients. So that financial security is very important. That's the first and probably the most important part of diversifying. Second part is, with that diversification, with a broader set of clients, you can be a little bit more picky about who you choose to work with in whatever arena, editorial, corporate, nonprofit. So if you do get a bad contract, or you do get a substandard rate, of course try to negotiate it. But if they're unwilling to negotiate, or maybe in very few cases unable to negotiate, then you have the opportunity to be very professional and say no, thank you, or just tell them that you're really busy at this moment and you'll get back to them and they'll go ahead and find somebody else. Okay, so it gives you leverage to say no to bad contracts and bad terms, or just bad situations altogether. Perhaps you don't, really like the shoot, and I'm not much of a Hollywood person. I've been asked many times over my career, being based in LA, to do some red carpet things. I hate that stuff. Okay, so because I did build up a number of clients, I was able to politely decline, usually by saying I'm just busy. Okay, so that's the second aspect to having a diversified client base and not having all your eggs in one basket, particularly with one client. Okay, so Little side note, many years ago, I was doing a lot of work for a sports publication called The Sporting News, flying all over, photographing, world-class athletes and doing cool stories. I traveled through Mexico, profiling the Mexican Baseball League, some really cool stuff. And then that client went from a very standard, very good, freelance photo contract and rate to a work for hire agreement. And at that time, I was already diversified, so I was able to, sadly, decline their offers to do any further work where I would have to give up all ownership to my images. Okay, so never liked to do that, but I did have that ability to say no at that point because of the diversified client base that I had. And the last one of the three kind of just brief little factors that, or things that I can do because I'm diversified is it gives me the incentive to say no to clients that really put you through the ringer to get paid, right? So a new client comes along, you love it, you take the job, everything's good. You begin to work with them and you start to notice that perhaps they're very slow in paying and you get kind of the, kind of classic 101 payment delay tactics where they're asking you repeatedly for your W-9 or I'm sorry, I didn't see that email. It went in my spam folder. Can you resubmit? And then you resubmit and, kind of all these different things that is for another day to go deeply into. But let's just say that even contractually, so, I have almost all of my clients either stipulate in their contracts or I stipulate in mine the payment scale or the payment time frame. And it's usually within that 28-day window, 28 to 30-day window. Or in some situations, especially with my book publisher, there's specific days in the year that they are contractually obligated to meet a payment deadline and issue me a royalty report for my book. So if you have a client like that and they miss those deadlines, then, if you're diversified and they come to you again with another shoot, maybe that's a client you want to sort of kind of, push out the door and try to bring in somebody new to replace them where you don't have that issue getting paid. Okay, so again, a diversified client base will enable you to or give you the incentive to find a new client to replace the one that doesn't pay you on time or strings out those payments, okay? So again, financial security, number one, by not having all your eggs in one basket. Number two, you're able to say no thanks to bad contracts if you're diversified. And number three, you don't have to deal as much with late paying clients. You can kind of go ahead and push them away as you bring in new clients to replace them. So just something to consider. I do really recommend kind of branching out into nonprofits and corporations and business to business type dealings. So that you can still pursue what you want to love, photojournalism for me, doing social issue oriented work, but also paying the bills and working with clients that treat me well, pay me well. And by diversifying, it enables me to kind of, have my feet in, both arenas there, doing what I want to do, but also working with clients where, I'm treated fairly and I get paid on time. Okay, so consider those things, build your client base. It takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, obviously. Okay, so keep that in mind going forward. I hope that helps. Have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.